beautiful people. Today I want to share with you a little bit about my health and food journey. It started first with like, oh, I'm gaining weight, you know, I need to diet, I need to do this, you know, like everyone goes through that. I was eating a lot of carbs. So I got the Atkins diet book, which was, I guess, in the 90s, late 90s. It was like all the rage, and so I read about it, you know, read the book, started on it, you know, lost weight. Was not a huge fan of the not being able to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables because I was used to that. I grew up in a home where my mom was really good about giving us balanced meals, so we always had tons of vegetables, salads, fruit was always available in our house. We didn't have a lot of junk food in the house, rarely. I don't remember really ever having like chips or stuff like that. We had cookies and cakes. She would make that occasionally, so we'd have that every now and then. We never had soda in the house. We drank milk, water, and juice at dinner. We had cereal, and cereal was highly sweet. But yeah, mostly not a whole lot of processed or junk food. Mom cooked everything from scratch. Meals were always really balanced. She always had, you know, the meat, the vegetables, and whatever the starch was. So I grew up that way, knowing, and I learned to cook from scratch and to create a balanced plate. We went through the whole craze at some point of like low fat, you know, or fat free, high carb. You know, the food pyramid used to be like eat tons of grains and tons of grains. And you know, as we've seen over the last 20 or so years, it's kind of been a disaster as far as people's health. People's health has suffered. You know, there's a lot more heart disease, a lot more diabetes, a lot more high cholesterol, blood pressure issues, all sorts of stuff. And a lot of it has to do with diet, with what we eat, what we put in our bodies. So at that point, I wasn't as conscious about what was going on. I just wanted to lose a few pounds. So it wasn't a whole like, ooh, I want to be really healthy and, you know, think about all this stuff. I wasn't thinking about that. I was just like, my pants are too tight. I just bought a bigger size. I'm not happy about this. So I went on the Atkins. I tried it. You know, I lost weight, but I just didn't feel right. It didn't feel right with my body. So I kind of went back to eating more fruits and vegetables. What I learned when I read that book was how sugar and high carbohydrates long-term can create diabetes. And as someone whose family, I have diabetes in my family, diabetes, cancers, those are part of my family, heart issues, those are part of my family health history. So I was like, whoa, you mean I can develop diabetes, type 2 diabetes, just because I eat tons of sugary things? Like, love me some pastries, Danish and cheesecake and whatever. I loved me some sweets. I had a sweet tooth like you wouldn't believe. Brownies, cookies, all that. I was in that stage out like through my teenage years up into my early 20s. I loved all that stuff. I still ate lots of vegetables and fruit, and my meals were balanced, but I definitely snacked on all those sugary sweets. So when I read that, I learned like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So I can develop this, and I already know my grandfather had it. He lost his leg. My uncle had it. I mean, there's different people in my family that had diabetes, and I was like, okay, so not gonna go there. I don't want this. I knew that it could become a tragic thing if not well maintained, if not taken care of. So I was like, yeah, I don't want that. So I made that decision in my early 20s. Not gonna do that. So I basically cut out sugar without knowing very much else, just that it could possibly cause this in my future. And that was enough for me to say, can live without it. It was very difficult at first. It was like, because sugar is so addictive. So I definitely struggled the first, I think they say like 3 to 4 days, because your body is literally withdrawing. So it is addictive. It hits your brain in the same part that cocaine hits. So it's highly addictive, sugar is. So that's why people struggle getting off of anything with sugar. And nowadays, sugar's in everything. Anything processed already has like high amounts of sugar. So it's in there without you even fully knowing that you're ingesting more than you think, because it's in there, in the ingredients. So anyway, I started making the transition. You know, you just feel lightheaded and weak. So in those first 3-4 days, as your body is withdrawing, you're like literally feeling ill, because your body is used to using sugar. Your body uses sugar, natural sugars, whatever, and the glucose. So carbohydrate becomes glucose in your body. So that's what your body uses as energy normally. And so when you're withdrawing from sugar, when you're off of it, your body is going, whoa, what's going on here? I don't know if I like this. So you've got headaches, you're feeling lightheaded, you feel woozy, like you start walking and you're feeling like you're falling over. It's not a good feeling. But once you get past that and your body's like done with it, so after day 5, day 6, all of a sudden you feel a new amount of energy. Your body feels good. You feel more clear. And you're just like, whoa, okay. And then you start getting used to it. And the longer you do it, the more you're like, wow, this food, anything you eat, any fruit or vegetable, even chicken, I was like, wow, this has its own natural sweetness that it was always masked by the other things, because your body, your palate, your taste buds get so used to extra sweet things that when you're off of it, all of a sudden you're tasting things that wouldn't normally taste sweet to you. Like a strawberry never tasted so sweet. Carrots are so sweet, like to the, like surprisingly, alarmingly, like, whoa. So it's a great difference once you kind of off of all of that extra added sugar. Now, obviously fruits you have natural sugar, fructose, which is a potent sugar, but the beautiful thing about fruit and vegetables is that they also have fiber. They're created to be what they call a slow carb. So you got your fast carbs, which are your refined carbs, and then your slow carbs, your complex carbs. Now, fruit are definitely higher in sugar and some more so than others, but your body understands that type of sugar. It understands how to process that. So you're going to ingest a fruit versus a juice, right? Because it's got the pulp, it's got the fiber. And so when it goes into your stomach, into your intestines, rather than just like the body being able to like pull out that sugar into the bloodstream and causing your insulin to spike up, which is what normally happens when you just have sugar, with a refined sugar or a refined carbohydrate without something to slow it down. You know, you just get that spike. So when you eat fruit, that is a much slower, it's because there's fiber in there and your body is like working through that, and then the sugar is more slowly pulled out. So if you're constantly eating a ton of fruit, then yes, you're going to get a lot of sugar. So, and if, you know, like they say, everything in moderation, but it's not the same as eating a sweet, you know, a bunch of pineapple, for example. It's not the same as eating candy, because candy has nothing to slow it down in your system. It just goes straight in and your insulin spikes like this. Plus, fruit is full of minerals, vitamins, and things that your body can use, nutrients. You're getting them from vegetables and stuff too that you're not going to get from any refined sugar. Anything that's refined carb, they add stuff into it because they've basically destroyed every possible nutrient from it, and they add in all this synthetic stuff. So your body just receives that food differently. And so what happens when our insulin is constantly up here? So we live in a society now where basically sugar is everywhere. It's available. I mean, people, I think they're drinking coffee, but they're actually drinking dessert because of the amount of sugar in what you're drinking. So our insulin levels are always super high. You know, everything we eat that is a carbohydrate, it's sugar. Your body receives it just like plain old sugar. Even if it doesn't taste sweet to you, that's what your body like converts carbohydrate into, as a glucose, as a glycogen. It's sugar. So your body uses it for energy, but you can only use so much. So the amount that we have now, because everything has so much sugar in it, is way too much for our bodies to process, for our liver to process. So we've got then this increased insulin. The insulin's always high, and so what that causes is that becomes fat. So your body then, your liver then is going to use that and say, it's going to grab it and say, I'm going to convert this into fat so that I can use it at a later date for energy. So our body here is designed our bodies are amazing. Never heard me say that before. Your bodies are designed to help you survive, to heal itself. The body is designed to survive and to live. So the liver's like, okay, great, this sugar, I'm going to store it on here. I'm going to get to it later because when I need it, you know, because back in the day, there wasn't food available 24/7 to us. We had to hunt and gather and eat, and we didn't eat enormous portions like we do now. They ate what they had gathered, what they had hunted, and it was a small amount. It was shared among a group of people. So the body, you know, knew to, like, if it had a little bit of extra, it would store it, because then when you need that later, when there's less, is that famine time or whatever, the body can pull from its resources and use that as energy. So the liver also uses fat as energy, and that's the basis of, like right now the keto diet is so popular. Again, because the body converts then, it's not using sugar, it's using fat, and it's burning fat for energy. So that's a whole other topic, but that's kind of the basis of that. So anyway, all of that to say, and let's bring it all back, right? Because Anita goes on little baby tangents. So when I got off the sugar, because I didn't want to develop diabetes, basically that's what happened. So when you're on the high sugar all the time, your insulin's always spiked. Your pancreas can only create so much insulin before it poops out. And then that's when you develop type 2 diabetes, and then you need to get shots of insulin to be able to, have your blood sugar balanced. And so I didn't want that to happen. So that's when I decided. And I went that way for many years. The liver thing I was talking about, I actually learned in this book by Anne-Louise Gittleman. I got in 2004. And this book really changed my understanding to a new level. So I wasn't a nurse yet. I hadn't studied, I didn't remember high school biology. And I wasn't really into the medical thing. But that's when I learned about how the liver processes sugars and fats, and it metabolizes our medications. Anything that we're taking into our body basically are going to be metabolized and processed by the liver, and then through the kidneys and out of the body. So that book really helped me understand that whole body can only handle so much sugar and so much crap before it doesn't know what to do with it. So either we can become really toxic and it can never our liver becomes sluggish because of all the stuff that's in there. Or it just keeps storing stuff on our body as fat. Now, fat also holds toxins. So there's a whole mess of a combination of stuff going on in our bodies. And so when we do not take care of our liver, love your liver, your liver can't take care of you. So yes, our liver is our detoxifying organ. It is that, along with the lymphatic system of our body. The lymphatic system is basically our garbage disposal, the trash workers going through the body, pulling out all the waste and peeing it out, sweating it out. So we have to be good to our liver and our lymphatic system. Drink lots of water, exercise, move that body. The lymph system moves through the body, not like blood with the heart pumping and pushing the blood through. The lymphatic system works by us moving literally on our feet. You can press on your lymph nodes and get them flowing, but jumping, walking around barefoot, just walking, the lymphatic system is pushed up through movement. So very important to move your body, as well as drink lots of fluids to flush out the stuff. And so that way we're helping our body, our liver, our lymphatic system to flush out the toxins, because we're constantly ingesting things. Even when we're breathing in our environment, we're breathing things that are toxic, or we're drinking water that's not really clean. Our food has pesticides and all sorts of stuff. We're constantly ingesting toxins. And our bodies are amazing because they're just always working through that. But the more breaks we can give to our liver and our lymphatic system and our kidneys, and love them it became to me to the point where I so love my body that I so want to take care of it, because I know what my body does for me. I know that my body takes care of me. So if I take care of it, it will take better care of me. And that's also part of my health journey, is understanding that to a new level where, it's my body's always working to heal itself. My body's always working to survive and to do well. That homeostasis, they call it. So balance, bringing that body in balance. Whatever the body needs to do to stay balanced, it is going to try its damnedest. But we don't always assist our body in the best ways because we are not thinking about that. We take that absolutely for granted. So when you learn, and I had the privilege of learning that because I went to school and I studied anatomy, physiology, and I studied nursing, and I studied just how food works in the body. And so that is kind of, for me, I feel like it changed my perception or my perspective. I don't just whatever. I really do consciously think about, what am I putting in my body? What am I putting on my body? How am I helping or how am I harming my body? Because my body this is all I got. This is the one vessel we have on this planet, and we have to take care of it. Okay, so anyway, as I started changing how I ate, I noticed how much better I felt. And then that's fluctuated over the years, because many years have passed since all that. So then sometimes life is more stressful. So then all of a sudden you're reaching out for, I'm going to eat this delicious croissant because I love croissants or whatever. And then I got sick, and I got more and more sick. I used to always get just migraines. So this is where I discovered my gluten intolerance. Now, I don't have celiac, and some people have very, 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 very almost deadly allergic reactions to certain foods. Mine is not allergic. It's not an allergen. It is an intolerance where the body is incapable to tolerate it or to process it. Really what it is your body can't process a certain protein or a certain sugar. So people have lactose intolerance or casein intolerance. That's the protein in the cheese. Gluten is the protein in wheat. So I discovered as I was going, so I used to always get migraines. When I went on Atkins, I had no more migraines, and I noticed it, but I didn't know at that point what the connection was. I just knew that I was eating better as far as I was not eating carbs or very low carbs. So because I stopped eating bread, I stopped eating pasta, I occasionally had rice, but I was eating so low that I was like, oh, that's just, carbs give me migraines. And then, but then I kind of got back into a stage of life where I was eating more bread again, the bread and cheese and wine and all the yumminess that comes with that, so there's more bread in my diet again. And then I started getting to the point then, any wheat products, so I would eat like a ravioli or a dumpling or bread, half of a donut, because occasionally I'd splurge on something sweet. And my body just started reacting. My body said, no. Vomiting, diarrhea, everything you could possibly imagine would happen. And it would start happening like just sooner. As soon as I would eat it, like my body would be like, no. So it just got progressively worse. And so to the point where I had to be like, okay, that's that. So, I had to change that. So you kind of go through life, and that's one thing with our bodies. Our bodies are constantly changing. So something that didn't affect us very much at all before can start affecting us. They say like with allergens even, you can become allergic to a certain food if you're constantly eating it. And your body's like, okay, I can't do this one anymore. That's why variety is so important. A variety of foods. I mean, if you look at the amount of fruits and vegetables that are available, there's so many. How many do we eat in our normal diet? You might have I ate 5 different kinds of vegetables, and that's all I ever rotate, and I eat, these 5 different fruit, or 3, this is all I eat. But there's such a huge variety of them, and I think that's for a purpose. It's because your body knows how to use all of those and needs to use all those different ones, right? So your body can develop allergic reactions to things. So if you are someone that used to be able to eat almonds, for example. I used to be able to eat almonds, no issue. All of a sudden, your body's starting to push them away. Like every time you eat them, you start feeling sick. You feel, like fuzzy-headed, or your stomach is bloated, or something happens. Your body's reacting, and you don't ever think, oh, it must be this, or dairy. Even dairy is one of the big ones, where people eat dairy and they grew up eating dairy. You've had it since you were a child. But all of a sudden your body can no longer process it. And so the reason for that, and the majority of adults actually cannot process either lactose or casein, the protein in dairy, because your body no longer is producing the enzymes that are needed to process and metabolize those proteins and sugars. And so when you're little, you have them, but it's only until about age 5 or 6 where you're able to actually use them and process them correctly. And then a lot of people after that can't, and so you continue to ingest them and you have no idea that it's actually affecting your body in a negative way, but you've kind of gained weight, you're always a little bit bloated, you're fuzzy headed, you might have a little joint pain, maybe little things in your body's trying to tell you, hey, something's up, but we're not necessarily paying attention. So we're kind of like, oh, I don't feel good, and then we just take a pill to try to mask that symptom, rather than saying, what's going on in my body? How do I get rid of that thing? What is the root cause? And rather than just masking it with a painkiller or Tums or whatever it is that you try to stop the bloating or the indigestion or whatever the feeling is. Like your body is telling you, our body is trying to tell us, always send us messages, this is uncomfortable because something's going on. So masking it is never the best option, the best solution. But that's the world we live in, is like a quick fix, put a Band-Aid on it, whatever. We don't think about what caused this, what actually caused this. So that's something that, for me, I've also taken in after, again, having read this book, numerous books, other books. I follow a ton of functional medicine doctors who are basically all about what is the root cause of what is going on in your body, what is actually happening to then cause these symptoms that are your feelings. So another part of my journey has been, I started feeling joint pain about, I want to say now like 5 or 6 months ago, terrible joint pain. I started with my hip and my ankle, and I just thought, oh gosh, I'm just getting old, blah, blah, blah. But then I started moving into my hands, and I was feeling so much joint pain, especially right here. First I thought, oh, it's just because all the texting you do, or you're on your phone all the time, or, whatever it may be, carpal tunnel. I was feeling it all in my hands. But it got to the point where I could not open a bottle, and it was so painful. I couldn't squeeze my shampoo. I could not hold my toothbrush because the pain was so intense. It was unbelievable. And I would cry because I was like, I cannot be in my early 40s and have this amount of pain. This is not okay. Something is wrong. This is not normal. I'm a healthy person. This should not be my thing at all. So I decided I was going to do an elimination cleanse, where basically you eliminate, major allergens from your body. Now, the normal elimination cleanse is kind of like a 10 to 14 day. You get rid of the top 5 allergens, which are corn, soy, wheat, dairy, and eggs. Now, a lot of people those are the top 5 because those are the things that people are generally allergic to. Fish may be in there for shellfish, may be in there for people as well. But I did actually, instead of just doing the 5, because I had done the 5 before when I was studying through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, which is where I have my certification as a integrative nutrition health coach. I did kind of a quick elimination cleanse. At that point, I kind of was like, oh, gluten, but then I was like, but at that point I was only getting migraines. So I was like, it's all right. I can still splurge once in a while on my croissants or whatever. But then that's when it got worse, a couple of years after that, to the point where I was like, yep, no. Anyway, I wasn't having reactions to anything at that point. So so to be here, several years later and going, what's going on with my body? Why am I feeling joint pain? And joint pain is a sign of inflammation. Now, inflammation generally is how your body comes and takes care of an issue and then dissipates. But when your body is so inflamed because of whatever is going on in it, that it doesn't shut down that inflammation, it's just constantly being inflamed, then you're having other issues. And so joint pain is one of those symptoms of inflammation in the body. So I was like, okay, I've got joint pain. This is a tell, like, obviously there's something else going on. So I did the elimination cleanse, and I basically went all the way to like an autoimmune protocol. So I did an autoimmune protocol. Now, this is another great book. And then there's the Wahls protocol as well, which is here. This doctor was amazing. She actually had MS to the point where she was in a wheelchair and couldn't move. And then she changed her diet, and she's walking, she's doing everything. I mean, she's just now like totally, that went away. So food, you never think about food as really anything other than like, I'm just filling my belly or it tastes good. But food is the information that your body uses. So are you putting in food that is helpful or harmful? So your body builds its cells and builds itself and regenerates its cells from the information that is put into it. So the information is food. So carbohydrates, fats, proteins are the building blocks, I guess you could say, that the body uses to create itself, to energize itself, to regenerate itself, to restore itself. So the quality of what you're putting into your body is of maximum importance. And we're not taught that. We don't understand that. It's not a concept that is ever just out there. It's not common knowledge for some reason. But even though we've probably heard you are what you eat, but we've never really understood the depth of what that really means. And so we just eat for the sake of eating and because we feel like we're hungry, but there's no real intention of what it is that I'm putting in my body is creating who I am. It is creating my cells. So quality versus quantity is something that I've learned through functional medicine. Because people ask, well, how many calories do you eat? I don't know. I don't care. I'm not concerned about calories. I'm concerned about quality. What am I putting in my body? Is it beneficial to me? Yes or no? That's all I care about. I don't care. So I eat high fat. I eat high protein, I eat high complex carbohydrate, I eat everything I want to eat. So let me just clarify. I eat high fat, and what I mean by that is healthy fats. Now, we all know about saturated fats and trans fats and blah, 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 or at least you've heard of them, right? So there are healthy fats and there are non-healthy fats. And basically your body needs, essential fatty acids are vital to your body's well-being, to your brain's well-being. So the fats I'm talking about are going to be your unsaturated fats and your medium chain triglycerides. So you're looking at avocados, nuts, olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil is a medium chain, salmon, flax seeds, those oils, evening primrose, just like good healthy oils. For some people who can tolerate dairy, butter, grass-fed, that's a whole other level, but conventional meat and dairy products are not good for your health. Organic, pasture raised, or where you want to go. Anyway, so when I say high fats, that's what I'm talking about, is like healthy versions of fat, because you can get a lot of unhealthy fat, which is the standard of American diet, is fried foods that are fried in vegetable oils and canola oils and soybean oils and peanut oils that oftentimes are also GMO, which is another topic. Anyway, healthy fats are great for your body. Your body knows how to use them. Your body feels satiated when you eat them. And then that hunger pang goes away and you feel like, I'm satisfied. I don't need to like just carb load because I feel happy. My stomach is happy and full. So I just wanted to make that little clarification. The high protein also, I actually don't eat super high protein. I try to make protein more of a smaller portion of my plate, having the vegetables be the main star of the show on my plate. So eat high vegetables, smaller amount of protein, and then the fat is just like the oil drizzled or however you do. Okay, back to the video. With a limit, because I already know sugar too much is this, so I try to eat low sugar or refined carbohydrates. I really don't eat those because I figured out with my own body, this works, this doesn't work. Or I'm constantly on the journey of figuring out with my body, because as I already said before, your body's constantly changing. So I did this elimination cleanse, and I did it for about 3 months, where I did the autoimmune protocol. So basically you're getting rid of everything. You're getting rid of nightshades, where a specific type of vegetables are called nightshades. All grains and legumes, so like no beans, all nuts, all dairy, all wheat, everything else we talked about, no sugar, none of the corn, everything that I already mentioned in the 5 top. So it was just like veggies, some meats, cassava. That's where I discovered cassava. So you could have some certain roots, refined plantains. So I was able to still eat yummy, delicious things. I was only having coconut oil, avocado oil, olive oil. Often I cook with ghee, but I didn't during the autoimmune protocol because dairy is part of the things. Although ghee is awesome, it doesn't contain casein or lactose. So some people are able to tolerate it and some people are not. So anyway, I did that for about 3 months, and I just slowly, so you do like a whole month of not eating any of those things. And then each week you bring in, like 2 or 3 items. So you try one for a few days and then try it. So it's a very long process. And I did it because I was like, I am not going to be going through life without being able to use my hands. I mean, I'm a nurse, I'm an artist. I can't not use my hands. I can't be in the shower crying because when I squeeze my shampoo bottle, it hurts. And I can't, I'm not able to brush my teeth because it hurts. So that was not going to be my life. So anyway, I did this and slowly started adding stuff back. I'm in the process now of narrowing down. There's a couple of things that I eat, that I think are still maybe affecting me. So I'm not 100% sure which are the pieces. But there's 3 things that I'm narrowing it down to. So now what I need to do in this next week or 2 is only have one of those at a time to see, because every now and then I'll all of a sudden feel a flare up with pain. But for the most part, the last 2 months, I've been completely joint pain free. Every now and then I'll get like a little oof, I feel a pain there, or my hip, will feel a pain. And then I stop eating whatever those 3 things and then it goes away. So I'm constantly amazed at the body, and I'm constantly amazed at how just being aware and listening to ourselves, listening to our bodies. Our body's always telling you something, so listening to that message, how important that is and how vital it is for our health. Okay, well, obviously I can talk about this forever and ever and ever. So I just wanted to share those things about my health journey. And like I said, and a journey is basically a continuous thing. So I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly growing, I'm constantly adjusting. Our body changes. Okay, that's the bulk of it. More of these things will probably come up because they're just part of my passion and part of what I care about. And it's part of the things that I want to educate people, because I feel like knowledge is power. And I always believe that you are your own best doctor. You know what's going on in your body better than anybody else. Yes, absolutely. There are, people that specialize in knowing things. Doctors know about disease processes. They know about medications and all that kind of stuff, but they don't know what you feel and what you are feeling in your body. Only you know that. Only you understand if something feels off. So you need to be aware of things, that it's not just like, this feels this, give me a pill for that. There might be something else your body's trying to tell you, another message. Maybe, it could be, and it may be food related, it may be stress related, it may be something's just out of whack in a different area of your life. Relationships are out of whack, spirituality is out of whack, your job is killing you. Whatever, there's all these things that kind of can throw us off balance. And those two are things that will cause pain sometimes, or will cause certain things in our body, and our body's trying to tell us this is not okay. And so sometimes we need to kind of stop and say, okay, what are the things going on in my body? What's going on in my world? What's working? What's not working? So anyway, okay, that's a different topic too. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for listening. And I hope you are doing well. And I hope your journey of health is continuing to grow and evolve and be good. And if this is all new information to you, I hope that it's been helpful. If it's stuff you already know, or if you want to add something to the conversation and just say, hey, this worked for me, or this actually doesn't work for me, because you are a bio individual. I said this one time in one of my other little videos. You are a bio individual, which basically just means there is no one like you. And so there's no such thing as a one size fits all anything. No one size fits all diet, no one size fits all. This food is the best thing ever. It may be a superfood because of everything it says, but your body may not receive it that way. This may be great for someone and it actually may be toxic for someone else. You are a bio individual. So keto may work for one person and it may be really harmful for someone else because their body can't process the fat, or whatever. Some people do really well with high carbs, generally high complex carbs versus refined carbs, because that's the sugar. But if you're highly active and you're burning sugar like crazy and you eat healthy and other areas of your life are doing well, then you may have no problems. Again, that bio-individuality. So you have to test on you. What works for me? What is it that my body is telling me? What are the messages my body is giving me? Because this worked for my friend, it doesn't mean it is going to work for me. Okay, yay. So if you like this content, go ahead and hit subscribe or hit like. Share with your friends if you feel like somebody could use this information. And thanks again.